Okay, so we're recording. Hello, everyone. You can still continue to drop your names while you're here and what you hope to learn, right? And I'm going to start right away. So what we're about to talk about is teaching in the UK, right? And what are the different routes to get to the UK to teach? What do you need to do? How can you be eligible? How would you know if you're eligible? That's a lot of information, right? So I'm going to take it one step at a time. I'm going to start first with why should you teach in the UK? What are the benefits of teaching in the UK? And what would you experience if you come to the UK to teach, right? So first things first, I like to draw my information from the government website. I don't want to tell you anything that's not true. So I'm going to be sharing my screen at intervals, sharing website. Please let's mute a microphone if you're not talking so that other people can hear. All right. So sharing my screen now, I would assume that everyone can see my screen. Mr. Shew, can you see my screen?
I can see it well.
Oh, fantastic. So on my screen, I have something that reads teaching salaries. All qualified teachers will have a starting salary of at least £28,000. I'm not quite great with math, but if you know how to do your calculation, just multiply that and you can get the Naira equivalent, or whatever country you're from, you can get the equivalent, right? But I want us to pay attention to what it says, qualified teacher. So what that makes a teacher qualified in the UK? Does that mean that if a person is not qualified, they would have lesser salary? I know that's a lot of questions, right? But I'm going to take it again, one step at a time. So the starting salary for qualified teachers is £28,000. But if a teacher is not qualified, they are going to earn way lesser, right? So if you're in the UK and you're working as a teacher and you're earning £28,000, does that mean that you're earning a lot of money? Yes, you are earning a lot of money. Maybe not like other people in tech or whatever, but it is a lot of money. It's enough to sustain you. It's enough for like basic expenses and every other thing that you need. And we also need to know that when we talk of being a teacher in the UK, it's not just about teaching. It could be what we call cover supervisor or what we call a substitute teacher. I don't know if you understand that concept of cover supervisor, but a cover supervisor does not teach anything in particular. They cover teachers that are not available, teachers that are not in school, they cover them. So that a cover supervisor is sort of a teacher too, right? And there's so many things involved in that process. So now let's talk about being qualified. What makes you a qualified teacher in the UK is your QTS. QTS meaning qualified teacher status. A QTS is sort of equivalent to a Nigerian TRCN license, right? Just that QTS is recognized worldwide, right? I hope you are following. I know I am saying so many things that we haven't heard before, but if you're following, I just want an emoji in the chat, okay? An emoji in the chat, and make sure you have your notepad, so because I'll be dropping so many things and I want us to catch them. Right, so your qualified teacher status is what would qualify you to be a teacher in the UK. But does that mean that you cannot work in the UK if you don't have your QTS? Not necessarily. It just means that you cannot earn as well as a qualified teacher in the UK. Right. So how do you get this QTS thing that everyone else is talking about? There are different routes to QTS, right? There is one that is the PGCE route, which means that if you go to the UK and you enroll into a PGCE, which is a postgraduate diploma in education, we all know that, right? When you enroll into a PGCE, at the end of your PGCE, you get a QTS. But to enroll in a PGCE would cost you a tuition fee of about £16,000. Tuition fee alone, £16,000 before you start thinking of your daily expenses and all that. So if you're using the PGCE route, it's that amount. Another route that you can use for your QTS is what we call the assessment routes. It's like you writing IELTS, but at the end of that exam, you get qualified as a teacher in the UK. Now that route is about £9,000. That's the cheapest that you'll find, right? about £9,000. It's quite expensive, so it's not an option either. Now, the third route that I would be focusing on here is what we call the TRA route, TRA, Teaching Regulation Agency routes, right? And that is what is now open to many Nigerians that are eligible. If you're eligible as a teacher, if you're qualified as a teacher in Nigeria, then you're probably eligible for to apply for the QTS using the TRA route, okay? So I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to share my screen again, share the government website, and then we will take this one step at a time. Thank you to those that dropped the emojis. One moment. Okay. So if you can see my screen, just leave your favorite emoji in the comment section again, so I know that you can see my screen. Okay, Faith, I like your emoji. Your emoji looks good, so thank you for that. Thank you for dropping. Yeah, so good. Yes, thank you very much. Now, this is the government website. There's a reason why I'm showing you this website, so that you know that what I'm about to tell you is based on what the UK government themselves said. It's not just me, it's what the UK government said. Now, for you to be qualified for QTS, you must be Nigerian or Ghanaian, Indian, Jamaican, Singaporean, South African, or Zimbabwean. Now most of us here are Nigerian. I know there's a Kenya person here, but this just means that you cannot apply using this route, okay? But for those Nigerians that are here, we are safe. So let's go on to check what would make us eligible or not eligible to apply for a TRA QTS. But I also need to mention that the reason why we need to talk about this TRA is because it is a free option. Remember, if you're using PGCE, you need to pay £16,000 for school fee. If you're using assessments, you need to pay £9,000. But if you're using the TRA, you're not paying any money to the UK. It's totally free. All right. So what makes you eligible for these routes? Quite a number of things. But the first one is the undergraduate degree that is equivalent to a UK bachelor's degree. Now, you've seen this UK ENIC or ENIC. It's not something special. It's just a UK body that would compare your degree to the UK standard. So if you say you have a bachelor's degree from a school that we've not heard of before, they would probably have you go through this body to compare your degree and test it and verify it, right? So if you have, for example, I'm not promoting any school, but if you do have an undergraduate degree from OAU, let's say, it's probably recognized, right? So an undergraduate degree that has the same academic standard with the UK would be a 4-year undergrad degree, 4 years, not a diploma, but a 4 years undergrad degree, right? And it can either be a B.Ed, as Bachelor's in Education, BSc, or a BA, or whatever B's that we have, right? So if you have your bachelor's degree, fine, but that's not all. That is not enough. Now, if you have a BA or BSc, you would need another requirement. It says, I've completed, I hope you're following, I've completed teacher training that meets the standard, excuse me, of a level 6 qualification. The grammar here is that if what you've done before was a BA or BSc, you need to have a PGCE, a Nigerian PGCE, or a Nigerian PDE, right? That's a diploma. If you have a B.Ed, you're qualified, right? If you have a B.Ed, Bachelor's in Education, you don't need a PGCE. But if you don't have a B.Ed, you would need to have a PGCE, which means it's a way of saying that, oh, this person has actually been trained to be a teacher. Because your regular bachelor's does not train you to be a teacher, but a PGCE would train you to be a teacher. So the third one is still about your degree, a course content that is about pedagogy, right? A course content that shows that you have taught before. And the new, okay, so here again, it says you're teaching primary or secondary education. That's what they are saying. It's either you're a teacher in primary school or secondary school. If you're a head teacher too, that's all right. You're also a teacher. And it says you must have minimum of 9. Okay, sorry, I just saw a question. I'll take the question later. All right. So you must have minimum of 9 months experience. I know that many people on this call are professionals and they have like many years of working experience as teachers in either primary or secondary schools, right? And they have the professional status needed to be a teacher in the country. Like I said before, the TRC. And remember, the QTS is an equivalent to the Nigerian TRCN license. Are you licensed by the TRCN already? Have you done the exam? Do you have your certificate? Those are important things that you need to consider before you know if you're eligible or not. So again, I'm just going to do a recap. Your undergrad degree, either a BEd, that's bachelor's in education, or BSc or BA and PGCE. If your bachelor is not in education, you will need a PGCE or PDE to supplement. Right? Are you teaching in a primary or secondary school? The reason why they are asking if you're teaching in a primary or secondary school is that you would submit, when you're applying for the KIT test, if you're eligible, you would submit references, right? You will submit some email addresses of people that you've worked with, and the UK government will reach out to those people to actually confirm that you've worked with them. So that's why they are saying that you must be teaching and you must have the experience. And what they mean by not being banned from teaching in Nigeria is you haven't committed any crime. The TRC has not, excuse me, I need water, sorry, just a moment, please. Okay. So what they mean by have professional status, you have the professional status in your country is that you have not been banned and your license has not been revoked, right? So if you've passed through all this and you've qualified so please mute our microphones if we're not talking. Thank you, as you mute your microphone. Yeah, fantastic. So the next thing now is your proficiency. Yes, we were all raised and we were all taught in English in Nigeria, but you still need to prove to the UK government that you have the required amount of proficiency. Now, it says here that it's either you write IELTS, CELT, consortium, blah, 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 and all these things. Actually, you don't need all these tests. What you can do is to get what we call a certificate of language proficiency from the university you graduated from. All right. If your university can give you a certificate that states that, oh, Ayodeji studied in this year from 1990 to 1995, and he undertook a course in English language, then you do not need to write IELTS or any of this language tests, because if you're writing this test, it means you will spend more money. But the way you can save yourself more money is to actually get a letter from your university. So with that letter, it sort of certifies that you can't hear me.
We can hear you, Esther. Maybe that person needs to work on their audio, but we can hear you. Yes.
Thank you very much. So yes, as I was saying, so what you need to get from your university is a letter or certificate of proficiency. I hope that we are noting the names of all these things that I've been saying. A certificate of proficiency. And that should not take a while, maybe 2 or 3 days if your university does respond to emails. Now, after you've gone through this first eligibility check, there's still more. At the moment, the UK is only recruiting secondary school teachers. That does not mean they will not give you your QTS, right? Just that at this time, they are recruiting secondary school teachers for 3 subjects: math, languages, and science. Math, languages, and science. Please note the word I use. They are recruiting teachers. But if you want to apply for a different role entirely in education, you can still apply, right? Please, can I just attend to questions later? So I don't lose my train.
So I'll just try to help you keep track of the questions as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
so, like I was saying, although they stated here that math, languages, and science are teachers that they're looking for, but like I mentioned earlier, you could apply to be a cover supervisor, but the most important thing is to actually have your QTS, right? If you're qualified, fantastic. Now, if you're a secondary school teacher, what does this mean? It means that you can get your QTS and you can get paid very well, because trust me, they need you. I am a language teacher myself. I teach languages in the UK. I teach English in the UK, surprisingly. And if you are a language teacher, it just helps you, like it gives you an edge over every other person, right? So the qualification continues for those that are math specialists. You would have your, I think some people write GCSE in Nigeria, but if you don't have GCSE, that's like WAEC. Of course, for you to get JAM and all those things, you will need to have math in your WAEC. So that's not a big deal, right? That is not a big deal. Now, I'm going to show you how you can check your own eligibility before I start taking questions. We are not done. This is just like the first phase. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat. That is the link that I am on right now. And right here, it says, check your eligibility to apply for QTS. Non-UK teachers can now check. I hope we are seeing this. I will click through the link. It doesn't change. Now I'm going to copy this new link. There goes the link. It gives the explanation of what a QTS is. And if you're not eligible, it shows you the other routes, which I have talked about before, right? And I'm just going to say that I'm ready and I want to start now. I click on start now, and it would ask me if I've used the service before. I would say no, that I need to check my eligibility. And then I would put my country, I'm Nigeria. Oh, let me even do it for Kenya, the Kenyan person that's here. I'm going to put my country, I'm Kenyan, then I do continue. And then it just goes straight up. You are not eligible to apply for qualified teacher status in England. I hope the person got the answer to the question. But now I'm going to do Nigeria. I am Nigerian and I continue. Do you have a teaching qualification? So that's a yes. Do your degree could include your teaching qualification, or it could be a degree in another subject. Yes. Are you qualified to teach? Yes. Does your teaching, okay, math, science, blah, blah, blah. Okay, got it. We are live streamed. Math, science, biology, chemistry. I hope you're following this. Yes. And then I continue. How long have you been employed as a recognized teacher? I'm going to say 9 months and above. Do I have any sanctions? This is going to be a no. And it says I am eligible to apply for qualified teacher status in England. All right. So that's basically all you need. Okay. While I share my screen again. Oh God, I'm going to pass this timer. Sorry, one moment, please. Okay. So next thing I want to talk about is what the whole process is. I will just fast forward and assume that we are all qualified. I understand that some people are not qualified, but for those that are qualified, I want you to know that there are 3 processes involved in this thing if you're going to be going to the UK, right? The first one is your QTS, which we just finished. The second one is your job search, right? And the third one is your visa application. So after you've gotten your QTS, or after you've applied, really, you can start applying for jobs too. Where then do you get jobs? Where can you apply for jobs? So the first place I would direct you to is the UK government website, which I am going to show you again. One moment. Just gonna Just let me know if you can see my screen.
Okay, yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. So these websites, which I am pasting to, can we see the website?
Very well.
Okay. So this website is what I would say should be your first contact. Welcome to Teaching Vacancies. Remember, it's the UK government website. No one would ask you to pay on this website. No one will tell you, oh, I am this intermediary or whatever, pay me on this website. It is safe and it is secure. Now, the only thing that would be challenging is how to filter. You might not be able to do that yourself. And I know that Schoolinka offers, Abby is free. Is it free?
Not at all. Even in Freetown, nothing is free, right?
Okay, I can't help you with that because Schoolinka will. So what might be challenging is choosing the right place to go to. For example, let me give you free information. It's expensive, but I'll give you for free. If you're moving to the UK for the first time, I would not advise that you go to London because London is particularly expensive, right? Especially if you're coming from Nigeria and you're starting to think every single thing you're converting to Naira, it can drive somebody crazy. So I would recommend that you do not go to London. But for those that will be working with Schoolinka on this, I'm sure Schoolinka will have how to communicate the best places to choose for them. So yeah, the first contact should be UK government website, which I have dropped the link in the chat, right? And it doesn't take long. What you need to do to be successful in your application doesn't take long. It includes your CV, revamp, your letter of application, you know, how to do your number proper application. But the thing is, applying for a global job is different from applying for a job in Nigeria. I'm sorry to say it, but it's the truth, right? What they need to know, some people will carry 100-page CV and give them. That's not what they're looking for. So you need to be tactical. Who can help you? Schoolinka can help you, right? And the last stage, let's just skip to the end because I want us to finish as early as possible. We booked 1 hour. So let me stop sharing. So take a look at that website. And the last thing I'll be talking about is the visa application. After you've gotten your job, please, I need to mention this. The job that you are looking out for on that government website should be a visa sponsorship job, a job that will sponsor your visa. Like I said before, filtering that out might be difficult. That's why you need Schoolinka, right? So after you've gotten your visa sponsorship, so you need to apply for your visa. I can't help you with that. I don't know how to do that. And it's not hard. I did my own visa application myself. I did not use any agents. But the other things, you might need someone that would guide you, someone you can trust, and someone that will not exploit you or extort you of your money. So again, there are 3 processes: the QTS application, which you can use TRE for, or if you're doing a PGC in the UK, you will need to use a PGC in the UK usually comes with a QTS. That's if you have the money, but if you don't have the money, you need a TRE. The next one is your job search. It is very, very important that you have the right portfolio, not just the right experience, but the right written portfolio to get a good job, a good paying job in the UK that you will not shortchange yourself. And the third one is the visa application. So that's basically everything about the whole moving to the UK as a teach abroad process. That's the whole thing, right? We just gave you that information for free. Mr. Oluwase, this is where I call it Joy Cotton.